In this video I'm going to cover sea trials. Sea trials is a major milestone in the build. Typically after months of work you get to see how that work paid off. Always do this before the first event just to make sure you get the boat balanced right, it pumps okay, it maneuvers okay, and is roughly on speed. At this point pretty much everything will be done. Might be some finishing touches remaining. I'll usually try to do this with the boat as close to complete as possible. You'll notice I didn't finish painting the bottom yet. That's because I don't know exactly what weight it's going to run at and where the water line is going to be. So that'll be one thing I'll determine. The first part of sea trials I'll do is make sure the boat's balanced and set the weight. So you can see I drew little markers on the side here, little draft markers, and those help me take note of where the water line is. So right now I know this boat's about 23 pounds. I know from other captains that about 26 pounds is a good running weight. So I'll expect to add some weight, but at first I'll just put the boat on the water, see how it sits, and then add weight as necessary. Okay, I put the boat in the water. Overall, sitting pretty level, port and starboard, which is good. That'll be usually one of the first things I'll try to correct, is if it has a list one way or the other. It does look like it's a bit stern heavy, so you can see the boat's kind of sitting at an up angle. Generally you want the decks to be pretty level, so I'll add some more weight to the bow, and then probably just add some general weight on both sides to make it sit a bit lower. Okay, you can see I put some weight just on top of the deck. I do this because it's quicker to adjust weights without removing the deck. So I put an 11-ounce weight in the bow, and that seems to help a good bit. It looks like it's still riding a little bit high. And then I have strap weights, 1 pound on each side. So this is still probably a little light, so maybe I'll add another pound of strap weights and I'll put the weights inside. If you're correcting fore to aft list, there's sort of two options. If you want to use the minimal amount of weight, you can put it furthest from the center, but generally try to avoid putting large weights at one end or the other, because that'll marginally impact the turning. So now I'll shift the weights inside and then see how it maneuvers. Okay, I have the weights inside, so I'd say this is still sitting high, showing a pretty good amount of freeboard. Now it doesn't have any water in it, so it's a good consideration to just keep in mind, because there's minimum amount of water that needs to be in the hull before the pump's effective, and you need to kind of get used to how the boat sits with that water inside. So having a dry hull isn't completely representative of battle conditions. So got in the waters, look at how it sits. I think it's still up by the bow a little bit, and then it's just a bit higher than I would usually run it at. But I'll start here. So once it's in the water, some things I'll do is just start kind of driving it around and see how my endpoints are, and then just start kind of adjusting. I want it to be roughly at speed, which for the ship is 26 seconds. So 26 seconds is like a moderate walking pace, and then reverse should be about the same. So right now I'd say it's slow. Yeah, it's definitely slow right now. So I'll have to adjust that up a bit. Another thing I'll do is make sure it drives straight. So for that, I'll usually just drive it away from me, and then can adjust the sub trim of the rudders until it goes straight. So I'll just start off. You can see it's pulling pretty hard to port. So now I'll sort of adjust the rudders so it goes to starboard a bit. It's got a bit of a list as well to starboard. Okay, I've adjusted the sub trim for the rudders. So a way to tell it's going straight, I usually just pick 2 points, so like the 2 masts, and just make sure that they stay in line. So I'll just go straight forward. You can see she's going pretty straight. Not perfect. I mean, you can always like correct the rudder a little bit, but you don't want it to be swerving significantly. So right, very minor corrections. Okay, next thing I'll do is speed. So for speed, I'll just kind of go like full forward, full reverse, and then just kind of judge it. To really test the speed, you have to set up a course 100 feet long, but that could be a bit much for just going to a random pond. So I'll just kind of judge it. 26 seconds should be like a moderate walking pace. So right now, a bit slow, so I'll go up a little bit. And then for reverse, same thing, a bit slow. Another thing in reverse I'm looking for is making sure the stern doesn't go under, the boat isn't going to sink itself. Boats can absolutely have sunk by just going in reverse. So you just watch. And then it seems at this speed, there's a little bit of water there, but not a ton. It's also going slow, so I'll increase the speed a little bit. Okay, I've just did the speed sub points a bit. So forward, the boat cavitates a little bit if I go too high. You can sort of hear that. It kind of sounds like a slurpy sound. So if the boat's cavitating, a couple things you can do. You can put more weight in the back to get the props lower, so there's more water pressure at the propellers. Another thing you can do is reverse the propeller shaft. So put one shaft, pretty much switch which propellers are on which shafts. So with this boat right now, the propellers are moving outboard. The tops are moving outboard when it's going forward, which is what like a real ship would do. Traditionally, I'll actually have them go the other way. So with this boat, I might try it the other way and see how it does. So it's reverse. Reverse is better. You can see a little bit on the stern there. Turn the pump on for doing this. So it's almost 100%, and it's still pretty slow. So there's some water there, but it's not sinking itself, which is important. If it's too slow, things you can do, you can change the props depending on how much room you have. this boat, there isn't really any room for bigger props. You can also reduce the drag. Not ideal because you want to maximize the amount of drag because that will help your turning. But if you can't get the boat to speed, you can reduce the drag, and that will increase the speed, although it might not be optimal. So once you get the boat roughly on speed, next thing I'll do is turning. So I get it on speed first because if the boat's on speed, you'll have the right amount of thrust. So when you're turning, it'll be accurate. If the boat's not on speed and then you adjust the rudders for turning, it might not be the best setup because you might have too much thrust where to get the boat on speed you have to reduce the thrust, and then your rudders throws too far and now the boat is just really sluggish. So to do this, a couple maneuvers. One thing is I'll just do 360s like this, and then I'll adjust the end point as I turn and just kind of watch how the boat responds. This right here is actually pretty good. I mean, the boat's kind of pivoting, so instead of a traditional turn where the sort of stern follows the bow, the boat's kind of pivoting about the middle, which is ideal. So that's pretty good. I might play with it a little bit, and then I'll do the other side. So that's pretty slow. So to objectively measure this, one thing I'll do is I'll time how long it takes for the boat to do a full revolution, and that gives a pretty good comparison. So this is slow, it's pivoting but not great. So I think the rudder throw is probably too far. Like if I just reduce off it on the joystick, it turns better. But I'll play with this. I can't do it with the camera at the same time, but basically I just do this and adjust the set point up and down until it looks pretty good. Once I have it set, then I'll do what's called I'll do a 180 at speed. So I'll turn the pump on because the boat's a little trippy. So what I'll do is I'll just have the boat at speed, going full forward, and then I'll just put the rudder all the way over, and then time or see how long it takes to make that turn, how much the boat slows down in the turn. You can do sort of like a figure eight. That lean's not ideal. So it turns sharply, but it slows down a decent amount. So I'll play with these and then come back once I think the settings are as good as they're going to get. Yeah, I adjusted the set points a bit. Sometimes you'll find the boats turn better one way than the other. If they have 4 props, that really shouldn't be the case. So maybe just one of the rudders is off center or something, or the angle isn't quite right on one of the rudders. Because that's really not great for turning. But if I reduce it too much, it doesn't turn well at all. It does turn better to port. See it pivots. It's pretty good. And I'll just sort of do the at speed 180. So right now the boat really isn't performing great. So don't take this as representative of good performance, but it's just kind of the exercise you have to go through. Try the other way. So, alright, next thing I'll do is a pump test. So, I just want to make sure the boat can sort of pump itself out. Right now, this boat has pretty good deck seal, so I'll probably have to loosen up the deck seal a bit, and then I'll loosen up the deck seal, and then I'll stick the stern under, let it fill up with water, and then let it pump out. Okay. Another thing I like to do is see how it drives with water in it. So I put some water. One thing that's good is but you see that it's kind of sitting level. Except when I go forward, the stern goes down a lot. And then for the pump, I'll just kind of turn it on here. So pumps out pretty good. I'll do it a bit more extreme while I'm not holding the camera, just to make sure the boat doesn't sink. And then I'll just kind of see how it does. It's rolling a bit in the corner, so I'll try to mitigate that a little bit. We just want to make sure it pumps out, that when it has water, it sort of sinks evenly about astern. The water doesn't pool on one end or the other. And then it's good to see how the boat goes with water in it. So put some water in it, or if you really want to, you can poke a hole in the side and let the water sort of fill up, and then drive it around, see how it handles, to be most representative of battle conditions. So sea trials, sometimes it's an iterative process. I'll probably end up making some adjustments to this boat specifically, but those are the major tests I'll do to just check propulsion, check turning, and check damage control and stability. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.